Clay and Ice both made the high school ROTC rifle team. The sergeant let them smoke behind the building. He gave them a cigarette for each bullseye. None of the other boys ever got one. When Ice didn't get one, Clay shared his. Aren't you afraid I'll nigger lip it? Ice said. Don't you white boys worry about that? No, said Clay. I don't mind colored. After that, Ice brought his own cigarettes. Methodists had dances. Baptists had hay rides. The wagon was pulled by a tractor, a John Deere A, just like the one in Calvin's mama's barn. It went around Miller's Lake out by the strip mines. Everybody sang while the tractor kept time. Puka, puka, puka. Clay put his arm around Ruth Ann while she was singing Old MacDonald. She had narrow shoulders for such a tall girl. Every time the wagon bounced, he allowed, and she allowed, his hand to brush against her breast, and she settled into his arms. Soon they were singing My Old Kentucky Home, and his fingertips were brushing against the top button of her blouse. Don't get ahead of yourself, she said, flicking him away. 'Tis summer, the darkies are gay. Fall in, men. There was a rifle match in Louisville, 100 miles away. They met on Saturday morning at the high school in uniform, 2 white boys and 2 colored. The sergeant stuffed them all into a green 55 Chevy that said U.S. Army on the side, a 6. They stopped in Cloverport, a little town on the Ohio River, for breakfast. The U.S. Army is bang, said Sarge. Bacon, Sarge? Asked Ice. He liked it when they called him Sarge. Bacon was always extra. As long as it's on the menu, said Sarge, the U.S. Army is good to go for bacon. The waitress looked embarrassed. She was watching from across the room. Then she approached, and Clay already knew what she was going to say. I can't serve color, she said. I'm sorry. These are not your local hillbillies, said the sergeant. You're dealing with the U.S. Army, young lady. I can't serve color, she said. I'm sorry. Well then, sorry it is, said the sergeant. Suit your hillbilly self. Fall in, men. About face, we're out of here. They all stood. He always called them men. They lost the match and drove back on the Indiana side, even though it was longer. Clay had never seen a white man stick up for color before. No one said anything about it. Ice quit the rifle team. Clay was now number 1, but he quit the next month. This is the widest river in the world, said Harl. How's that? They were driving over the bridge. The Ohio was almost a mile wide in Owensboro, but Clay knew that the Mississippi was wider, not to mention the Amazon, the Orinoco, or the Ganges. They were heading into Indiana. It was Saturday night. It separates the north from the south, Harl said, the light from the dark. We're still closer to Nashville than New York, said Bobby Lee. He was riding shotgun. Mary Beth was at a Baptist church affair. The north here was nothing but a long bottom of muddy cornfields and coon hunter swamps for 6 arrow straight miles along the levee, all the way to the four-way, the all-night truck stop where 231 crossed 60. Everything in Owensboro closed at midnight by law, even the DDI. The long counter at the four-way had its own little jukebox, chrome and glass, like the dashboard of an Oldsmobile, where you leaf through the available songs, flipping stiff little pages. It was like a book of metal. In Owensboro, songs were a nickel. Here they were a dime or 3 for a quarter. Same songs. Everly Brothers, Marty Robbins, Ernest Tubb. Give me a quarter, said Harl. He still had his DA. Mr. Gimme, said Bobby Lee. They argued a lot. Harl played the same song 3 times. Dinah Washington. What a difference a day makes. Jazz makes the difference, he said. That's not jazz, said Bobby Lee. Hear the violins? It's in the phrasing, said Harl. He played clarinet in the high school band. He had convinced the band director to subscribe to Downbeat. The song played again. Wish they had some Brubeck, said Harl. He cocked his head and drummed on the table. What's Brubeck? Asked Bobby Lee. The song played again. The waitress came over. You can't play the same song over and over, she said. Who says? She pointed with her chin at the 2 truckers down the counter. They were grinning like fools. I say, said Bobby Lee. He put another quarter in the jukebox and asked the waitress, what do you like? Marty Robbins is always nice. Harl groaned. Marty Robbins it is, and Marty Robbins it was. It's raining, said Harl. He and Clay were hiding in the bushes outside Dr. Rhodes's elegant home on Griffith Avenue. It had a circular driveway. Dr. Rhodes's son was home from New York, where he had gone away to college and then quit. They were throwing him a party. Harl and Clay were planning to steal some beer from the cooler on the back porch. Oh, excuse me. The colored servant came out to get some beer and then went back in. Now, said Harl, we make our move. They opened the cooler and took out 4 beers each, 2 in each hand. There was also a bottle of gin. Should we get the gin, Clay asked. Harl didn't answer. The door had opened. A man was standing in the door. He had a little beard. Clay had never seen a beard before, except in pictures. He was also wearing tennis shoes with no socks, and he was grinning. Who are you? Clay asked. He couldn't think of anything else to say. The prodigal son, he said. Better I should ask who you are and what the hell you think you're doing. Nothing, said Harl, putting the beer back. Are you a beatnik? What do you know about beatniks? I saw the picture in Life magazine, Harl said. That's stupid, Rag, said the beatnik. Take 2, put the gin back. Yes, sir, said Harl. Take 2 more, and don't call me sir. I'm not your father. Now make yourself scarce before somebody else comes out here. Yes, sir.